Outlander Season 8 is finally here, and with it comes the biggest question of all. Could Faith really be alive? For years, we believed that Jamie and Claire's first daughter was lost forever, but now, everything we thought we knew is being turned upside down. And if you thought Season 7 ended with a shocking cliffhanger, just wait until you hear what's coming next. The final season is setting up a story so massive that it could change Outlander history forever. From Faith's feasible return to the complicated destiny of Jamie, Lord John, and William, Episode 1 wastes no time pulling us right back into the chaos. Right from the very first episode, Outlander Season 8 makes one thing clear: nothing is what it seems. The weight of Faith's loss has haunted Jamie and Claire for decades, but now, cracks are forming in the story they thought they knew. Claire, who has always been the logical one, starts questioning everything when a mysterious letter arrives. It's unsigned, the handwriting unfamiliar, but the words send a chill down her spine. She's waiting for you. At first, Claire dismisses it as a cruel joke. Who would play with her emotions like this? Jamie, on the other hand, refuses to believe in false hope. He has spent years carrying the guilt of Faith's death, blaming himself for not being there, for leaving Claire alone in that devastating moment. But when he sees the letter, something shifts in him. He remembers a conversation from years ago, something small, something he had buried under layers of grief. Could it be possible? Could Faith be alive? Or is this just another trick of fate tormenting them once again? And then there's Francesca. The woman who dropped that cryptic mention of Faith in Season 7 is still keeping secrets, and Claire isn't letting her off the hook this time. Claire confronts her, pressing for details, but Francesca remains vague, her words carefully chosen, as if she knows more than she's willing to admit. "Some things are better left in the past," she says, but Claire refuses to let it go. If there's even the smallest chance that Faith exists somewhere in this world, whether in this time or another, she has to find out the truth. But what if this truth is more dangerous than she ever imagined? Jamie and Claire's search for answers quickly puts them on a path filled with warning signs. Lord John Grey, always a trusted ally, seems unusually cautious when Jamie brings it up. He knows something. He's always known something. But he also knows that digging too deep could unravel something much bigger than they ever expected. He warns Jamie to be careful, to let the past stay buried. But Jamie isn't one to walk away from a fight, especially not when it involves his family. And speaking of Lord John, his relationship with Jamie is about to be tested like never before. After everything that happened in Season 7, the tension between them is impossible to ignore. They've always been caught between loyalty, love, and duty. But now, with William's future hanging in the balance, their differences are about to come crashing down. Because William, Jamie's son, though he still doesn't know it, has questions of his own. He's starting to suspect that his entire life has been built on a lie, and he's not the kind of man to sit back and accept it. The question is, when the truth finally comes out, will he stand by Lord John? Or will he turn to Jamie? And what will that mean for the fragile relationship between these two men who have both raised him in their own way? If Faith is truly alive, if there's even a small chance that Claire could see her daughter again, what kind of consequences will that bring? Because this is Outlander. Nothing ever comes without a cost. The more Claire and Jamie search for answers, the more dangerous their path becomes. What started as a single cryptic message quickly turns into a tangled web of secrets, half-truths, and whispers from the past. Claire's mind is racing. Every logical part of her says that Faith is gone, that there's no way she could have survived. But the other part, the part that has seen the impossible happen time and time again, refuses to let go. And then another clue surfaces. A name, one that sends a shiver down Claire's spine. Genevieve Beaufort. A woman with no real history, no family records, and yet someone who has been quietly connected to the Fraser name for years. Claire had never paid attention before. Why would she? But now, it's impossible to ignore. When she and Jamie start asking around, they're met with silence, hesitation, and fear. People who once spoke freely suddenly have nothing to say. The name Genevieve Beaufort carries weight, but no one will explain why. Until finally, Claire meets an old woman who claims to have seen her. "She's got the eyes of a Fraser," the woman whispers, "but she walks like a ghost." Jamie's reaction is immediate. He's always been skeptical of false hope, but something about those words shakes him. He knows that look, the same one he saw in Bree, the same one he sees in Claire every day. And if this woman, whoever she is, truly shares that unmistakable Fraser presence, then Jamie knows they're closer to the truth than ever. But just as they think they're making progress, Lord John Grey steps in, his warning no longer subtle. "You don't understand what you're digging into," he tells Jamie. "If you value your family, walk away." Jamie doesn't take kindly to being told what he can and cannot do, especially not when it comes to his own daughter. He demands answers, and that's when Lord John finally confesses the truth he's been hiding. There was a baby, a child whose fate was never truly recorded. He doesn't know if it's Faith, but he knows that there were circumstances surrounding Claire's loss that were never fully disclosed. The child was taken away before Claire ever had the chance to see her. Claire feels like the ground has been ripped from beneath her. Every painful memory of losing Faith, of holding her lifeless body, comes rushing back. But now, doubt creeps in. Had she really lost her? Or had someone taken her away before she even had a chance to know the truth? The answers, it seems, lie with one person, Genevieve Beaufort. And if she truly exists, Claire and Jamie will stop at nothing to find her. But they're not the only ones looking, because someone else has been watching them, following them. And as they push deeper into this mystery, they unknowingly awaken forces that have been waiting in the shadows for years, forces that have their own reason for keeping the truth buried. And if Jamie and Claire aren't careful, they won't just be searching for Faith. They'll be fighting to survive. As Jamie and Claire push forward, the weight of their past decisions looms over them. Every step toward the truth feels like stepping into a trap, but neither of them can turn back now. The name Genevieve Beaufort isn't just a rumor anymore, it's a lead, a real person who may hold the key to the impossible. But the deeper they dig, the clearer it becomes that someone doesn't want them to find her. Every person they speak to seems afraid to even utter her name. Some shut their doors in Jamie's face, others whisper cryptic warnings. And then, a letter arrives at Fraser's Ridge. Unsigned, with just 6 haunting words: "Stop searching, or someone will die." Jamie, ever the warrior, refuses to be intimidated. Claire, however, knows higher than to disregard a chance. She's visible what occurs, whilst people in electricity want to keep their secrets and techniques buried. She remembers the dangers of Paris, the betrayals in Scotland, the heartbreak in America. This isn't pretty much Faith anymore. That is approximately uncovering something that changed into never supposed to be located. And then, a wreck. A man in Wilmington, an antique health practitioner with shaking fingers and guilt in his eyes, eventually speaks. He tells Claire that years in the past, a highborn little one became taken from her mother below the guise of a stillbirth. The baby became placed in the care of a powerful circle of relatives, one that had the method to erase records and rewrite history. He doesn't say the name. He doesn't have to. Claire already knows, the Beauchamp family, Claire's very own lineage. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces start falling into place. If Genevieve is alive, then she has been raised not just away from them, but within a bloodline that has worked for centuries to manipulate the course of history. And that means only one thing. Someone with immense power wanted her to stay hidden. But why? Jamie doesn't waste a second. If this is true, if their daughter is alive, then nothing. Not threats, not politics, not even time itself will stop him from bringing her home. He and Claire set out for Wilmington immediately, following the last known trace of Genevieve Beaufort. But they're not alone. The moment they step into town, they realize they're being watched. A figure in the crowd, a shadow in the alleyway, someone always just out of reach. It's not paranoia, it's a warning. And that warning turns deadly when they find their first real clue, a portrait. Hanging in a dimly lit estate, tucked away behind other noble families, is a painting of a young woman. Her face is unfamiliar, but her eyes, they are Faith's eyes. Bree's eyes. Fraser eyes. Claire's heart stops. Jamie's breath catches. But before they can take another step, the door slams shut behind them. And for the first time since this search began, they realize the truth might not set them free. It might just cost them everything. Before Jamie and Claire can react, a voice cuts through the silence. A man they don't recognize, yet his presence feels oddly familiar. He stands between them and the portrait, a quiet authority in his stance, as if he has been expecting them. There is no immediate threat, no raised weapons, but the warning is clear in his eyes. "You should not be here," he says, his tone even, controlled. "There are truths better left buried." Jamie steps forward, fists clenched, but Claire stops him. She knows this game. She has played it before in Paris, in Scotland, in the colonies. Secrets are always guarded by men who believe they are protecting something greater than themselves. But this time, the secret is their daughter. Claire demands answers. Who is Genevieve Beaufort? Why was Faith taken? Is she alive? The man doesn't confirm or deny anything. Instead, he speaks in riddles, revealing just enough to make their worst fears feel real. "She exists in a world that is not yours," he says, "and if you love her, you will leave her there." Jamie's endurance snaps. He doesn't care about cryptic warnings or hidden agendas. If Faith is alive, he's going to discover her. If someone took her, he will make them pay. But before he can act, the man issues a very last caution, one which chills Claire to the bone. "You are not the simplest one searching out her." With that, he steps aside, permitting them to depart, as if bold them to preserve. And they do, because on foot away has in no way been an option. But the instant they step returned onto the streets of Wilmington, they realize they are being observed. The air is thick with tension. Every alley, each shadow seems like a trap waiting to be sprung. And then, it takes place. A blur of motion, a sharp whistle in the air, a gunshot. Jamie shoves Claire at the back of him, his instincts sharper than ever. The bullet misses by inches, however the message is obvious. A person wishes them useless. The streets erupt into chaos as they combat their manner out, dodging unseen attackers, weaving through the panicked crowd. They slightly make it return to their horses, breathless, hearts pounding. This is no longer pretty much locating Faith. This is set survival. Claire grips Jamie's hand, her voice constant in spite of the fear tightening in her chest. "If we don't prevent now, we may not stay to find her." Jamie meets her gaze, unwavering. "Then we don't stop." Because now, more than ever, they know the truth is actual. Faith is accessible. And if they don't attain her first, someone else will. With their lives now hanging by a thread, Jamie and Claire retreat to a hidden cabin on the outskirts of Wilmington. Their movements are cautious, measured. They can't afford to be careless anymore. The attack in the streets wasn't just random chaos. It was orchestrated. Someone out there, someone powerful, wants them to stop searching for Faith. And that alone is enough to fuel their determination. But they are no longer working with just the clock ticking against them. Now, they have enemies who are actively hunting them, trying to keep the past buried. It's hard for Claire to shake the feeling of unease. The encounter with the man in the estate, the cryptic words about Genevieve's world not being theirs, has lodged itself deep in her mind. What did he mean by that? How could her daughter, if this is truly her daughter, exist in a different world? Time travel, for all its complexities, has always had its rules. But could someone have bent those rules? Could Faith have been taken from one timeline and placed into another? Or was there something deeper at play, something even darker than they had imagined? Jamie is quiet, his brow furrowed in concentration, his fist clenched as he processes the new information. If there's someone else after her, we'll have to move carefully. We can't trust anyone, not until we know who we're dealing with. And so, for days, they hide, moving only when necessary, keeping a low profile until they can find the next piece of the puzzle. They begin to piece together a trail that leads them to an unexpected source, Lord John Grey. When they finally receive word of his arrival, it's both a relief and a cause for concern. Lord John has always been an ally, but in the world they're now navigating, trust is a fragile thing. Still, there is no denying the history between them. Lord John has known the Frasers too long. He is, after all, the godfather to their son, William, and his bond with Jamie has always run deeper than just duty. There is genuine friendship there, though it's been tested by time, politics, and Lord John's own personal demons. The second Lord John steps into the cabin, Claire and Jamie brace themselves. He seems worn, tired, his face drawn in a manner they've never seen earlier then. His ordinary stoic composure is long past, replaced via a wariness that at once sets Claire's nerves on facet. He isn't here for an informal go-to. Lord John doesn't waste time with pleasantries. There's no time to explain the entire scope of it, but I need you both to listen closely. He starts off evolved, his voice heavy with urgency. There's a faction, a mystery institution, that has been operating inside the shadows for hundreds of years. They are those who erased Faith's existence. They are those answerable for what took place to her. The air within the room grows thick as Lord John reveals what he is aware of. This organization, whose call has been misplaced to history, has been concerned in manipulating the Fraser-owned family's destiny for generations. From the instant Claire stepped through the stones, her whole life, her family's future, changed into a threat. The group saw her as a chance to the timeline, a pressure that might disrupt the delicate balance they'd created. They in no way expected Jamie's love for Claire to bear. They never anticipated the bond between them to grow so sturdy, to regulate the root of records so completely. But the biggest revelation comes when Lord John speaks of a name, one that sends a chill through both Claire and Jamie. The leader of this faction is someone from your past, Jamie, someone you know well. Claire's heart skips a beat. She can feel the tension between them, the weight of the moment pressing down on her chest. Jamie's face pales, his eyes flicker with recognition, and for the first time in what feels like forever, his usual confidence wavers. "Who?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Lord John hesitates, his gaze lingering on Jamie's face. "It's Stephen Bonnet." The name lands like a punch to the gut. Stephen Bonnet, the man who had nearly destroyed their lives, the man who had done unspeakable things to Claire. Bonnet was supposed to be dead, his reign of terror over. But the reality hits hard. Somehow, he is alive, or at least his influence is. And he's been pulling the strings behind the scenes. This revelation shifts everything for Jamie. Bonnet's ghost looms over their lives in ways they never imagined. It makes sense, in a twisted way. Bonnet had always been obsessed with control, with power, and if he had somehow managed to survive or manipulate his way into this secret faction, it would explain why Faith's existence was erased. It would explain the ruthless efforts to keep her hidden from them. But the shock of Bonnet's name isn't the only thing that rattles Claire. Lord John's next words send a shiver of dread down her spine. There's more. Faith, or Genevieve, has been kept in hiding for a reason. She is a key figure. Her bloodline, her very existence, holds the key to something far more dangerous than we could ever understand. The group believes she will be the one to restore balance to the timeline, to reset everything that's been altered. The magnitude of this hits them both like a tidal wave. Faith's life isn't just a piece of their family's history. It is a pivot point, a moment that could change everything. Her existence, the truth about her, could shift the course of history in unimaginable ways. If they want to find her, if they want to save her, they will have to go up against forces they can't even begin to understand. And now, with Bonnet lurking in the shadows, they know that their quest to reunite with their daughter will come at a terrible cost. They will have to face a man who has nothing left to lose, a man who will stop at nothing to maintain his power. Jamie once again finds himself locked in a battle with the very darkness that has haunted him for years. But this time, it's not just about his survival. It's about protecting the family he's fought so hard to build. Lord John's grim expression hardens. We have no time. Bonnet will come for you, Jamie. He'll come for Claire, for William, for Faith. You can't trust anyone outside of this circle anymore. The truth is more dangerous than you think. Claire and Jamie exchange a glance. They know what they must do, even though the path ahead is uncertain, dangerous, and fraught with peril. But they have no choice. The truth about Faith is out there, and no matter what it takes, they will uncover it, even if the cost is more than they can bear. As Jamie and Claire prepare to leave the safety of the cabin, the weight of their mission presses heavily on them. There's no turning back now. The revelation of Stephen Bonnet's involvement, the sinister forces working against them, and the haunting truth about their daughter Faith has set them on a collision course with destiny. They've faced trials before, but this time everything is different. It's not just about surviving the next battle, it's about confronting a darkness that's been lurking, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The journey ahead is treacherous, and they know it. As they step back into the world, there's a sense of finality in the air. The tension between them and the unknown enemies who shadow their every move feels palpable. The past, the present, and the future are tangled in ways they can't yet untangle. But one thing is clear. Jamie and Claire are willing to fight for their family, no matter the cost. Their love, their devotion, and their unyielding commitment to each other have been their greatest strengths. But now they'll need more than that. They'll need to outwit their enemies, outlast the danger, and above all, protect Faith. As they travel deeper into the heart of the conflict, Jamie's mind races. Every decision, every action could have far-reaching consequences. The group hunting them, the one that's orchestrating the dangerous game they've been forced to play, isn't just a group of powerful men. They're a collective of people who are willing to do anything to protect the secrets they've buried. And Faith, their daughter, is at the heart of it all. The further they go, the more they begin to realize that they are not only battling for their daughter's life, they are battling for the future itself. The very fabric of time, the timeline that Claire and Jamie have fought so desperately to preserve, is in danger. Faith's return could be the key to unlocking everything, the key to restoring the balance that has been disrupted for so long. But with every step forward, the danger increases. And it's not just their own lives at risk anymore. It's the lives of everyone they love. By the time they reach their destination, a sense of unease has settled between them. They've gathered the pieces, but they still don't have all the answers. And the closer they get to the truth, the more they realize that even the smallest mistake could unravel everything they fought for. With the specter of Bonnet looming larger than ever, Claire and Jamie prepare themselves for the battle of their lives. This isn't just about reclaiming a daughter they thought they had lost. It's about restoring the world to the way it should be and preventing it from being torn apart by forces they never expected to face. But nothing is simple in the world of Outlander. There are twists and turns at every corner, and the truth is always more complicated than it seems. Just when Jamie and Claire think they've figured out the next step, something shifts, something unexpected, something dangerous. They realize that not everything is as it appears. There are enemies within their own ranks, and there are those who are playing a much bigger game than they ever realized. As they close in on their purpose, the tension will become insufferable. The stakes have by no means been higher, and the fee of failure is unattainable. But as they draw closer to the fact, one aspect will become abundantly clean. The return of Faith is simply the beginning. The challenges they face will not handiest form the future of the Fraser circle of relatives. They may regulate the very path of records. And no matter what occurs, they must make not possible picks. Will they store Faith? Will they defeat Bonnet? And will their love live to tell the tale the hurricane that's about to break? In the final moments of the episode, Jamie and Claire stand facet by means of aspect, searching out into the distance, prepared to face something come subsequent. Their bond is unshakable, their love unwavering, but the uncertainty of what's to come back looms massive. They understand the course beforehand will not be easy, and they recognize that the fact about Faith will convey both answers and extra questions, but they're equipped to confront all of it, because they've by no means been ones to go into reverse from a combat, particularly when it's for the circle of relatives they've fought so hard to shield. As the digital camera pulls away, the haunting query hangs inside the air. Is Faith nonetheless alive? And if she is, what is going to the outcomes be for everybody concerned? With the whole lot on the road, Jamie and Claire are more determined than ever to find the truth, irrespective of what it takes. But within the International of Outlander, not anything is ever certain. And the final reckoning is most effective simply starting. Share your thoughts in the comment and subscribe our channel for more Outlander Season 8 updates. Thank you.